Hi y'all. So for this video, I want to start off by saying I had a intro video where I was up on the dunes kind of recording a little welcome, talking about what this video was going to contain. However, the issue was the wind was so terrible this day that I could barely even hear myself think. So it was unusable. So for this video today, I just want to start off by saying this was part one of a nearly week-long road trip. Trip did not go entirely as planned, but I got a lot of good videos from it, so I'm going to be producing a lot from this trip, and hopefully you all will enjoy. But let's talk about the sand dunes. Nestled at the edge of the San Luis Valley in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains lies a surprising feature amid the mountains and valleys of Colorado. Here are the tallest sand dunes in North America. The tallest of them includes Star Dune at 750 feet and the ironically named High Dune at 699 feet. These dunes claim the title of a national park, one of 63 in the United States and one of 4 in Colorado. Typically, when people hear Colorado, they think of the iconic mountains, not a scene from Frank Herbert's Dune. The Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve represents a diverse ecological system and are home to grasslands, wetlands, forests, and alpine lakes and tundras. Resulting from wind-sweeping valley sand and mountain sediment, we have the dunes as we know them today. Although the dunes are constantly changing, their uniqueness amid the mountains continues to capture people's attention. As stated previously, the dune's immense size is a result of multiple factors. While this area once looked very different, the sand is what remained. The creation of the valley began with the movement of tectonic plates. As the valley expanded, sediment from the San Juan Mountains and Sangre de Cristos would spread throughout the region. While dunes are often associated with beaches, today there's only a trickle of visible water for brief periods of the year. If we were to travel back a few million years ago, however, we would find ourselves at Lake Alamosa. This lake is now gone, but in its time it would have covered much of the valley. As one lake receded, many more would pop up. Eventually, many of them would dissipate as well. The sediments left over from these lakes in the region would be swept to where the dunes are today. I want to preface this that most of the information I present in this section comes directly from the NPS site. I will link it in the description if you want more info. The dunes serve as a place of recreation and inspiration today, but they've been known by people for nearly 10,000 years. According to the National Park Service website, evidence suggests that pre-Clovis people were here at the sand dunes, although it has yet to be officially confirmed. The pre-Clovis people are identified as people in North America before the Clovis, who were around 10,000 BCE, give or take. With this possibility in the air, the park also states that with the shifting sand, it makes archaeology and its research very difficult. While the pre-Clovis artifacts are not confirmed, the evidence found at the Great Sand Dunes and surrounding area shows that Clovis and Folsom people were present in the region. These people would have hunted bison and possibly mammoths. The park states that one site within shows where 49 bison were trapped and killed. Additionally, looking at the site, they say it appeared to be a gathering of people from many different areas. Jumping ahead to more modern times, there are still many indigenous tribes that are affiliated with the park and surrounding region. The park today has 18 tribes who live in, around, or pass through the region. These tribes all have their own unique ties to this land, and I do not think it's my place to speak on those ties and their ancestral heritage. I am not familiar with them, and the research can get very tricky given the complexity of the sources and how much of it was passed down via oral history. If you're interested, highly recommend looking at the events calendar for the park and see if there's any days in which indigenous tribes will come in to speak. I'll include a link in the description below for a newspaper article from the area that discusses some of the tribes and their ties to the land. As always, it's important to recognize the land and who was originally there. Moving forward, in 1807, Zebulon Pike wrote about the dunes. He writes, "After marching some miles, we discovered at the foot of the White Mountains, today's Sangre de Cristos, which we were then descending, sandy hills. When we encamped, I ascended one of the largest hills of sand, and with my glass could discover a large river. The sand hills extended up and down the foot of the White Mountains about 15 miles, and appeared to be about 5 miles in width. Their appearance was exactly that of a sea in a storm, except as the color, not the least sign of vegetation existing thereon. Throughout the period of westward expansion, more and more people would come to the surrounding valley. This called for improvement in the routes of the area and further development of Fort Garland near the dunes. As these passes improved, more and more folks began pouring into the valley, calling it home. The iconic Buffalo Soldiers would come to the area and patrol there. More people would come and go throughout time, some looking for land to homestead, some in hopes of finding gold. As with all natural resources, people fell on two sides of the aisle. On the one hand, the dunes and surrounding land could be a prosperous region if harvested and utilized for commercial purposes. On the other, its uniqueness should be protected. The dunes were already a tourist spot by the early 20th century. With lobbying and determination, the Great Sand Dunes were recognized and registered as a national monument by President Herbert Hoover. As tourism increased in the rest of the 20th century, murmurs of it becoming a national park would stir. Finally, in 2004, it was expanded into a national park. Today, people visit the park for a variety of reasons. Trail riding, hiking, photography, crossing it off of their bucket list, and even swimming are just some of the activities here. Okay, maybe that last one's a pinch of a stretch, as it's more wading in a few inches of water for a brief period of the year. Either way, Medano Creek often attracts many people to the area during its flow season. Over 500,000 people visit the park annually, and it's easy to see why. The strenuous march up to Star Dune is worth the hike, as the sea of sand below you is awe-inspiring. The surrounding hikes that take you into the mountains allow you to get away from the people while still enjoying nature. Cooling off in Medano Creek is quite the reward after hiking in sand all day. There are many things to love about this park, which is why I keep coming back, and I hope you will too. This was the first stop on a nearly week-long trip through Colorado to New Mexico with some of my friends. While most of the trip was derailed and kinda chaotic, the sand dunes was one of two things we were actually able to do from our planned out itinerary. This trip to the dunes will hold a special place in my heart for years to come. I wanted to share this with you all to encourage you to go check this place out. As we're wrapping up this video, few things I just want to say. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, subscribe. If you have any feedback, drop me a comment. And the last thing I want to leave you with is a comment from one of my friends who had never visited the sand dunes before. While it was my second time being there, it was his first, and this is what he had to say about it. There is nowhere else like it on Earth.